Okay, let me run a short demo on some important parts of doing the in-building riser. And we'll do this in class too, but you can look at it ahead of time. So first of all, I have my specs open on another screen. And here's my inventor screen, and I'm going to click New. And of course, I want the standard IPT, a regular old part. So this is going to be all one part. Okay, and so I've mentioned before that the best thing to do is right away save as, and I've already done these, so I got to give it a different name. I'm going to call it IBR Parent. This is my parent drawing, the one I'm going to make everything from, and I'll call it a demo. So I don't need specifically to get dimensions right. It's just my parent that I'll change my dimensions on later. So remember I said that we're going to start with the elbow. So let me create an elbow. First, I need to make a path for the elbow. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, wrong rectangle. I'm going to make a rectangle and I'm just going to choose I think 6 by 6 or 6.5 by 6.5. Let me look and see what the elbows are. One of the common ones is 6. So I'll make it 6 by 6. And I got myself lost while I was going down to another screen. So I'm going to make it 6 tab. That gets me to the other one. 6. Now I've got a 6 by 6 and I want to start my arc right on one of these. So I think I drew that in the opposite direction that I want, because I want to start my thing right on one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and move that, and I'm going to take that point and I'm going to move it right there. Now, knowing that, I could, of course, go, okay, if I had planned this out a little bit better, I could have made it 6 by 6 in the other direction. And now I'm going to do an arc, and I'm going to start right here. That's going to be my starting place, right there, and I'm going to go to the other corner, and I'm just going to make it down. And it's hard to see, but there's two little tangent icons at each end, and that's what I want right there. Click. That's going to be my pathway that I'm going to use. Okay, so there's my pathway, and these are dimensions, so I can do it later on. The next thing I need to do is on this face, I need to make the body of the elbow, and that was 6.625. I just went and looked it up. Enter. And now I can do a thing called a sweep. I can sweep this shape around that curve. So it's sweep right up there. And I pick this shape, and then I pick the curve. And to get that curve, sometimes I find it's easiest not to click up on that, but to click on the little line below it. And I have an elbow. That's so cool. There it is. It's my elbow. Now, one end comes out, and that's the end with the CIPS. So I can do another sketch starting on that face. And if I do the circle and start right in the middle and go right to the edge, a little dot appears and it says, hook it to that circle. That way, if I change the diameter, it changes the diameter of both of them. And then I'm going to extrude that. And I don't know, it said it was 72 inches, so I'm just going to type 72 inches, 6 feet. I know that's not quite right, but I'll fix it later on. That's my end with a CIPS. So it's time to go check some parameters. That 6" was my long radius elbow, face to face dimension. And the other, that's got to be equal, so I'm going to say it equals D2. Equals D2. I just chose that one right there. That way, if I change one, it changes the other. The 6.625 I got from a book, and the 72 is my CIPS leg center line to face. Now, it's not really that because I haven't put the CIPS on it yet. So I'm going to change that in a bit. But first, I'm going to go around, start a new sketch and go over to the other side and come put one off of there. And I'll do the same thing. Click, click. And I'll extrude that one 72 inches also. And that one is my grooved end length. Grooved end length. Now I have to draw that CIPS. And so I'm just gonna figure some stuff out. My A dimension, the ID is 6.94, and I have to add the wall thickness, 0.18 plus 0.18. So my little hub that sticks on the end is going to be a circle of 6.94 plus 0.18 plus 0.18. Let's see. 6.94 plus 0.18 plus 0.18. And I'm just reading my spec. 7.3. 7.3. And I estimate that that's 2 inches long. The whole thing is 2.5, so I'm going to make that 2 inches long. And now my next one is the Y dimension on this one is 3, so it's going to come out an extra inch, and the hub OD is C is 7.68. So let me get onto the end here and do a 7.68. And that's going to come out an inch. So I just typed 1 there. There, that's my CIPS end. And the other end gets a groove on it. I'm just going to leave it alone for right now. So now I don't quite think I've got all my dimensions right. I'm just flipping around up here to get it into the right shape. Because I think if I found the dimension from this center line to here, it's going to be too long. The easiest way to find it is to put it on a drawing. You can do all sorts of measurements in here, but it's not as good as putting it on a drawing. So I go to the parent and I right click and I create a drawing view. Click. And I'm going to use this ANSI, and I just use the template. It's fine. And it said, there it is. It shows up, but I want it in the top view. I can move it up here to the middle, and that looks okay. Kind of a dumb scale. Maybe I'll make it a, whoop, wrong way. Let me do that one again. I put it in a bad way. I'll go back to my base view. There it is. There it is. I'm just going to leave it right at that. There we go. And now it's really cool. I can put in the Annotate tab, I can put in my center line. So I went to Annotate, put a center line between two lines, and I got it. And then I can do this one too. Click, click. I just hovered over it and clicked. Now I've got something I can measure from. And you see over here is a dimension. There it is. So I'm going to dimension from my center line to the face. And that should be 72 inches. Dimension. Center line. Face. Oh, it's too big. Right? Because I had a bunch of this distance and a bunch of this distance extra. So I need to change that so that that equals 72. I can figure out how much less it has to be. 81 minus 72. So I have to shorten it up by 9 inches. Here's the cool thing. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to call it IBR parent, and it's an IDW. IDW. And it's got my demo on. You have to say yes to all. Yeah, I want everything that's on there. Yep, 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 yep. I come back here, and I got to take this one and make it 9 inches shorter. CIPS leg center line to face dimension 9 inches. What's 72 minus 9? 63. So that for a 6 inch should be 63. Done. I'm going to save it. Come back over to here. Oh, it changed it and it's correct. So I got that one correct. Now let's get this other one. Dimension. There it is up in the corner. Dimension from the center line to the face. 78. So that, I want it to be 72. So 78 minus 72. It's 6 inches too long. So when I come back over here, this is the one. CIPS grooved end length should be 6 inches less. 72 minus 6 should be 66. Let's see if I got it right. So I always do a little save in between. That updates it. 72 and 72. I got it right on. So that's the majority of the work right there. Notice what I do is I just model it at something and then I come back to get it right. But there's a few little bits that are left off. On this end, I should see some little tabs poking out. So I'm going to make a work plane for them because I don't have any place to draw. Remember, when I sketch, I got to be able to draw somewhere. So I need a plane to draw on. If I come to the work plane, work features, work plane, and get this little one down below, I'm going to do it, I'll make it 5 inches back from this front. And it's going outward, so I need to go minus 5. Then it goes backwards. And that's where I'm going to draw my little brackets. Now, there's nothing in there that tells you how big that bracket has to be. So I'm going to just, I'm going to say it's going to be kind of centered on that, and I'll make it 2 inches wide, and I'll make it 6 inches tall. That means it's going to be 6 inches up and 6 inches down. It's going to go into the part, but that's okay. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Two inches wide, tab, 6 inches there. Now, when I do my extrude, it's going to be fine. It'll extrude what's in and out, and it'll just add it to it. So I'm going to pick that whole thing and that whole thing. So I got that one. Now I'm going to pick this one. And I think I want it to go evenly, and they're not very thick, and I don't know how big they are. I'm going to say they're probably either 3/8 or a ½ inch thick, so I'll just make it a ½ inch thick total. There. And then there's got to be a hole in them. Here's how we make a hole. I start a sketch, and I'm going to put it on this face right here. And I don't know, but the hole can't be too close to the edge. So I'll bring it down like 0.5 or 1 inch maybe. And I put a point on it. It's a point. And I put a point right on it. And then I do the same thing on the other side. Come one from the edge, right on the center, and put a point on it. Let's see what I've got in here now. So down here, I've got 2x6. This is my bracket width right there, and my bracket, oh no, that's my bracket length. And this is my bracket width. And if I ever make a change, I want it to do it to both brackets. So here's the first, oop, those are in the wrong spot. No wonder. So this one here, that's my 2-inch, has got to equal the other 2-inch. And that one was D18 equals D18, and this one then would equal D19. That way if I change one bracket, I get them both. Now I want to put a hole on those. Here's the hole command. And it found the hole. I could click on it and found it. And a 0.5 hole sounds good. Here's where you type the size of the hole. And it's going all the way through. There. The last thing is if I don't want to see this anymore, I right click on it. And I should be able to turn off its visibility. Now, what's left? This is actually fine, but I do want to make it hollow. And we'll recall we've done the shell command once before. Shell the item, and I click on this face, and I go up to my nav cube and click the other face, and I think it said the thickness was 0.18. There we go. So I took, this is still called my parent. Okay, so I need to save this one. I just made this equal to the 6-inch size. So I want to save this one as the IBR 6-inch. File, save as, and save a copy as. And what that does is it leaves your drawing open and just saves a copy with a new name. So this is the in-building riser IBR 6, and it is my demo. Okay, there we go. And I'm not using this for anything other than to get some real nice quick measurements so that if I wanted to, I could compare it to the spec, and I can make it more precise just to see, okay, 6.625, I got that. So I could go through and measure this off of here if I wanted to. So there we go. That is the essence of what we're doing with the building riser. You should do this process for the 4-inch, the 6-inch, and the 8-inch. And you start with a parent that has just got all of your parameters. And when you save it, you save those parameters and the whole thing for each different size. So I always make my changes in the parent and save a copy as the individual size that I have adjusted. There we go.